Good morning, everyone. So here we are. We're like I think 4 days past now the European Union referendum that took place in the United Kingdom, and my goodness, what an experience that was. In the build-up to the referendum, people in the country, up and down the country, were complaining that they were not being kept fully informed or told of the pros and the cons by either side of the benefits or the non-benefits, if you like, of remaining in the European Union, something that we've been part of for the last 40 years, and we've been a big player as a country in that. And both sides really focused on some key headline events, and I'm not going to go into the whole politics behind that, because really the subject of this video blog is to just have a think and reflect on what happened on Friday and what happened as a consequence of the results on Friday. Now, if you don't know, the country was split as near as 50-50 as I've ever seen it on any other issue in my lifetime. The eventual results were 51% of the country decided that they wanted to come out of the European Union, and 49% wanted to remain. I mean, goodness gracious, how close is that? But what then came from that was just incredible. I don't watch the media as a rule. I haven't watched news for the last 4 years or so. But I, like many people up and down the country, was glued to the television for a few hours on the Friday just gone, the Friday of the announcements of the results. And I only did that because of what I was seeing on my Facebook. Now, my Facebook, I police it very, very well, because I don't like any negativity around me whatsoever. I keep my Facebook as positive as possible. I think it's very important to surround yourself with the right energy and the right people. And I have to say, there'll be a few people deleted off my Facebook now as a consequence of what I saw and read on Friday and some of the subsequent days after that. Because what I saw, both within Facebook and on the mainstream media, was a lot of anger, a lot of vitriol, a lot of abuse towards other people who are in the opposite camp, whichever opposite camp it meant to that individual. And some of the accusatory comments, some of the racist comments, some of the anger, some of the abuse that I saw was just incredible. And even when I switched on the mainstream media and I was watching the news broadcasters, and these are the people who are supposed to be impartial and give you the news as it is, even some of those I sensed that they were trying to they were venting their frustrations in a barely muted kind of way. They're trying to remain impartial, but their frustration was coming out. And particularly as the day escalated, and we saw the Prime Minister saying that he was going to resign, and then we heard that the opposition leader might have votes of no confidence against him. And then some of the people were talking about how the pound has dipped into its lowest in the last 30 years, and global financial markets were beginning to slow down and dipped overnight. And we all started panicking, and we all started wanting to blame each other. We wanted to look for somebody to blame, and so many of us resorted to anger and frustration. And I just thought to myself, this is crazy. Here we are, the 5th largest economy in the world. We are one of the most democratic countries in the world. We have a reputation for tolerance. We have a reputation for being a calm nation. And yet here we are, as a result of one vote, we're behaving in such an embarrassing way. And in full public view of what the rest of the world could see. And here's the conclusions that I've come to. some of the people that were angry, some of the people that were using some of the most offensive language that I could imagine were people who I previously thought were intelligent, intellectual, professional, and even very, very deeply spiritual. And yet here they were with such anger being expressed towards other people or even other ethnic origins. It was just crazy. And what I've realized is this: it doesn't matter how intelligent you are, it doesn't matter how supposedly deeply spiritual you are, it doesn't matter how professional you are in your everyday life. The true test of all of that is when you're faced with challenges. The true test of whether you're spiritual, the true test of whether you're intelligent, the true test of whether you're intellectual or calm or balanced or anything else is when you are faced with challenges. Because only when you are deeply like that can you weather the storms that might come. And there are plenty of storms in life. Let's face it, life has its ups and it has its downs. The second thing I also learned is that everything in life is temporary. Everything, even your challenges, are temporary. Here we are, you see, some 4 days now past the referendum vote, and things have calmed down. All the panic that was there on Friday is no longer as acute. We're now hearing that, it might take several years to leave the European Union. It might be that even when we leave the European Union, that we'll still maintain some of the legislation, we'll still maintain some of the close trade links with our cousins across the water. So really, where is the panic? And finally, I learned that life is a balance. As you go through life, you are going to get your ups where you feel elated, and it's easy to be that spiritual person, it's easy to be that professional person, that happy-go-lucky person, that positive person that I see on my timeline. But then life also has its downs. And how do you maintain that equilibrium? How do you remain true to yourself throughout all of that in life and be the person that you want to be, that you say you are, and be true to yourself? I've had plenty of challenges in my life, but one of the things that I make sure I always do is I remain balanced throughout. Now, I had pangs of fear and pangs of panic myself when I saw some of the stuff that was happening on Friday, and then I had to stop, and I said to myself, this is only temporary. A lot of this is just noise. It is just noise, and people need to vent off, and people need to say what needs to be said. And of course, for the media companies, it's sensational. You need to take a step back and be reassured and be assured and have that faith and belief that things will sort themselves out. It will not be the end of the world as we know it. And here we are, we're still alive 4 days later, and we will be in 6 months and 12 months, and the country will still prosper. Guys, don't waste your emotions, your negative emotions, when you are faced with a problem, because those negative emotions will not resolve the problem. They will probably exacerbate the problem, and the only person that they're going to harm is you, the way you feel. Approaching any problem with a negative state is not the way to resolve anything. Buddha once said that anger is like holding a hot coal in your hand, wanting to throw it at somebody else, and the only person that gets hurt is you. And that's an emotional negative state. I just wonder how some of the people that I saw so angry, that I saw expressing some of the stuff that they did express, I wonder how they're feeling about themselves today after all the noise has died down. I wonder how they'll feel about themselves in a week's time, in a month's time, in 6 months' time, when they sit back and reflect on how they behaved when the world needed them most to remain calm, objective, tolerant, and loving towards each other. Just some food for thought. Have a great day. Bye bye.